Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user YagaWort and a lot of ones. Me, 28 male, with my girlfriend, 26 female, of 2 years. She sexually assaulted me and might be pregnant. I don't want to have kids. Hello everyone, I seek some advice from you, internet people, because I feel like I don't have anyone in my real life that I can talk to openly about this issue. Sorry in advance for words and editing and mistakes. English is not my first language. So here comes the backstory. My girlfriend and I have been together for a little over 2 years. We met at my friend's wedding and were introduced to each other by my friend's sister, and we sort of hit it off and dated casually for about 4 months before we officially called ourselves a couple. We took things slowly from the start, and both of us were completely fine with this. We both recently got out of long-term relationships when we first met and didn't want to rush things. About a year into our relationship, she starts to mention marriage and family, which I kind of shrugged off and jokingly told her it was way too soon for things like that I would never see myself married and I don't want kids. I kind of freaked out a little just by the thought of it. She eventually agreed, but since that day she has constantly tried to change my mind and idolizes the perfect proposal, wedding, pregnancy, birth, kids growing up, the whole package. She just never shuts up about how wonderful it will be when we start a family. Now, as I said, I never wanted to get married. My parents hated each other with passion, and it made their lives miserable every single minute until they divorced, and after that just spent all their time telling me how awful the other parent was. And, as I also mentioned, I never want kids. I never bonded with babies or kids. Not my siblings. I am the oldest of 5 kids that were born just to save the marriage and to keep the family together, or nieces or nephews. I find kids to be the ultimate annoyance in every aspect of life, and I have always used condoms and made sure my partner has also used birth control. It only got 100 times worse after I went to a consultant about a vasectomy about a month ago. Operation is scheduled in 2 weeks, and every night it's the same discussion from her about how I will ruin my life and never find a partner if I go through with the operation. I know I will never regret getting a vasectomy. I have wanted it since I was about 16 and wish I had done it sooner. Then, 3 weeks ago, I got home from a 10-day business trip, and of course we had been missing each other and ended up having sex. As usual, I wore a condom, but I did not see my girlfriend take the pill. She takes it in the evening when we brush our teeth. And I pointed it out to her, and she said she had changed to taking the pill in the morning instead, and we both went to bed. We have different schedules, so I don't know if she has really taken the pill or not in the morning. The next day, she puts on really sexy underwear and started to initiate things. She tied me to the bed, and in the heat of the moment, we had sex without a condom, and after I finished, she would not untie me from the bed until I almost got really mad at her. I already was a little pissed because she had not put a condom on me, but she said she was on the pill and I was being too dramatic about always wearing condoms when we both knew she was on the pill. That Friday, while I was at work, a fellow friend of ours sent me a text and congratulated me, saying he never thought I was going to come around and be a real man. I replied saying, "What do you mean?" And he congratulated me again on becoming a daddy. I called him immediately to clear things up, thinking he had sent the text to the wrong person, but he seemed just as shocked as I was when I told him I had no idea what he was talking about and that I was never going to be a daddy. Then he laughed and told me to look at my girlfriend's Facebook page, congratulated me again, and hung up. I raced to my computer, and on my girlfriend's Facebook page she had posted girlfriend's name and me might be having someone new to add to the world. All kinds of smiley faces, and already almost 50 people commenting their congratulations on her post. I was entering rage mode and called her immediately. She did not answer the phone. I sent her a Facebook message saying we needed to talk and to pick up the phone. I called her again, but still no answer. I was tapping fingers and boiling inside. I went to talk to my boss asking him if I could leave for the day, but he told me no. Back at my desk, I saw my girlfriend had read my Facebook message and I tried calling her again. It rang for what seemed forever before she picked up and asked me what was so important to talk about. I was in my office, so I told her to hold as I walked to the bathroom, and I was screaming inside me the whole time. I asked her what I think was calmly about her status update, and she got quiet for a long time, and I could tell she was really nervous when she said she was late on her period and wanted to talk to me about it, but I was in a hurry this morning and left before she got up. My mind went completely black and I started ranting on and on about not telling me and not making sure, and then posting all that to Facebook without even letting me know, or even not being 100% sure about it if she really is pregnant or not. I hung up and was so angry I ignored her calls the rest of the day, and all the time I kept thinking back to the night we had sex without a condom and how I have not seen her take the pills for over 5 weeks now. After work, I drove home and sat in the car for almost half an hour outside just to try and calm my rage and nerves to talk to her. She was crying when I got in and said she deleted the Facebook post from her feed and tried to hug me, but I pushed her away and asked if she was sure she was late, and she said yes. I asked how late and she said a day or two maybe. I asked if she had taken any tests and she said it is too soon to show up if she is pregnant. We sat down on each side of the room in silence for a while, and she whispered as she cried that she thought I would be so happy to have a baby with her, and I told her that I said so many times that I do not like kids and I do not want to have kids ever, and reminded her again I was having a vasectomy for that exact reason. Then I reminded her about the night we had sex without a condom and how she should not have changed the schedule for her pills, that it might be the reason she is a bit late with her period. She started crying again and started telling an obvious lie story about how she had lent some of her pills to her little sister as an emergency while I was away, and that she had no more pills and had to renew her prescription to get new pills, and the pharmacy had messed up her prescription and she had not taken the pills since I got home from my trip. "And you did not think of telling me you had not taken the pills?" I yelled at her and walked away in anger and took a shower to cool down and not hurt anything in the apartment. I went to bed and she came in and tried to hold around me in bed, but I was just so disappointed and disgusted with her that I got up and said I would sleep on the sofa. The next day I got out of the house before she woke up. I left a note to her in the kitchen telling her to go buy a pregnancy test and that I would spend the night at my mom's house because she was celebrating her birthday with me and my 2 sisters that live close by. My mom does not use Facebook, thank goodness, but my sisters do, and they immediately brought up my girlfriend's status as soon as I got in my mom's house. I just told them it was a stupid joke and that we were going to get a puppy. Later in the evening, as I was getting ready to go to bed, I called my girlfriend and asked if she had bought a pregnancy test. She said she was depressed and had been crying all day because I had left and she had not been outside the house at all, and that it would be a waste of money to buy a test because it would be too early to tell if she was pregnant, and she begged me to come home. I said I would be spending the night at my mother's house until she got the pregnancy test, and that I had bad feelings for her because she betrayed my trust and was so careless about protection when she knew how I feel about it. She begged for me again to come home and that we should talk about it face to face, that I was acting stupid for leaving her like that, and, what tipped the scale for me, for leaving a pregnant woman in distress. I immediately hung up and turned my phone off. I'm still at my mother's house. I need to go to work tomorrow, but I don't really want to. My head is a mess and I cannot put the thought of my girlfriend in my head without feeling sick. She was having sex with me without a condom and without using the pill, and she knew the whole time without telling me. I feel she raped me, but rape is a strong and perhaps a bit dangerous word. I don't know anymore. All my trust in her is gone. I just pray every minute that she is not pregnant. I read a little online about pregnancy tests, and there are some brands that can tell very early if the girl is pregnant or not, so I will go at lunch tomorrow and buy tests. I just don't know what I will do if she is pregnant with my baby. Even just typing the sentence makes me feel ill to my stomach. I have spent so many years being so careful using condoms and birth control, and now it is all just running through my fingers like sand. I feel I have no choice but to end the relationship, no matter if she is pregnant or not. As I said, I feel no trust in her at all. I don't know if I am seeking advice or just someone to share my story, but just letting off some steam here so I don't feel like I will explode has been a little relief. Do any of you have some options or thoughts about what I or we should do or talk about? This has become a very hard subject for me during the last few days, and I don't know how to proceed from here. Opie, what happened to you is a horrible thing. She took your consent away. You didn't even get a say, and even though you have said plenty of times that you don't want kids, she dismissed that and lied to you to try to make one. I personally don't know if that's actionable or not. I would think so, but I'm not really sure, and I couldn't find anything online that would refer to something like this. At least not from the standpoint of a man being taken advantage of by a woman. In any case, this relationship is absolutely over, regardless if there's a baby on the way or not. And if there is a baby on the way, I feel very sorry for them. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? Let me know your opinion in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Pastel Colored Pig says, home pregnancy tests that I would be able to purchase at a store in the US can give you a result 4 days before the expected period, on the day you expect it, or anywhere around that time frame. So she's lying about it being too soon. I would go to an OBGYN though to get a more reliable result rather than a home test. Callisti Gold says, don't start panicking until you have a positive pregnancy test that she has taken in front of you or proof of pregnancy from a doctor's office in your hand. I think you know that the relationship is dead now and you should not be getting back together with someone who would do what she did. Also, this BS about posting the status, then telling you it's too early to buy a test and see if she's actually pregnant? What the actual F? And Opie responds, yes, I know, but I still cannot help but feel like freaking out. All my life I have been avoiding this situation at all cost. So much I have never needed to think about how I would react to this. I don't know what to say or do anymore. Thanks for the comment. Deleted says, break up with her immediately. It doesn't matter if she's actually pregnant or not. Clearly, she cannot be trusted. She is most likely not pregnant. If I flipped out every time I was a couple of days late, I'd have a dozen of pregnancy scares by now. It is possible she is doing this to test your reaction in the event of a pregnancy, with a dose of wishful thinking thrown in there. Have her take a pregnancy test in front of you, and in a week have her take another test. Also, something to consider for the future. Birth control always has a possibility of failure. Even the most careful use of birth control has a risk. If this risk is not worth it to you, a vasectomy is something you should seriously consider. However, even vasectomies have a risk of pregnancy. This risk is just an unfortunate part of adult life. It is not easy to deal with, but you must accept this risk. And Opie responds, I know, we have to talk tomorrow. I'll buy the tests for her so she can take it with me, and I will break up with her regardless. I know about birth control failure, and it is why I always use condoms and make sure my partner is on birth control also as a double safety. I will go through with the vasectomy, and I have actually been looking forward to it since I got the operation confirmed. Alright, well, the community gave obvious advice. Break up with her, get tests, all of that. So now let's move on with the update to see what happened after this. It has been a tornado in my head, and I am sorry I have not had the effort to respond to all the personal messages asking how it is going. So, for the update. She called me from her work at 11:30 in the night. She asked me how I was and what I had been doing with my mom for her birthday. Very casual questions and quiet. Normally, she talks a lot on the phone. I answer not much and ask how she is feeling. She gets very quiet and I ask her again. She makes an excuse and tells me she has to do some work and will call me again later and hangs up the phone. I had already started to pack her things and continued. She has so much stuff that I had bought 8 moving boxes and 5 of them were already full of clothes. I was thinking I needed more boxes and started to panic a little. I started reading some of the responses you gave on my post, and many of you mentioned we do not match and should not be together. Yes, I agree. We were young and carefree when we were introduced. We just got out of long relationships, 3+ years, and we were looking for a little fun. Unfortunately, I might say, we fell in love and here we are. It is nothing we can change now. The past is what it is. There were some times in our relationship where we almost ended it, but we never did. Mostly because she and I want different things, but we are bad at seeing the reality, I think. Somehow, I think we both were thinking the other half will just change their mind and we will be happy. Stupid, yes. And now we have realized it for real. So she calls me up again about 1:30 in the morning and she says she is sorry for hanging up on me. I say fine and ask how she is feeling. She says she is relieved. I asked why. She says she has taken a pregnancy test at work she bought when she left the apartment and it is negative. I say good. We both know it is the best outcome. She starts crying and says over and over she is sorry we fought and that she lied to me and she just wanted me to be happy and not worry when she told me she was on the pill when she wasn't and we had sex. I said I was still angry about it and accept the apology, but I was not sure I will forgive her. I asked if she had talked to her family, but she said no. I said I had to go and would see her in the morning. She said okay and we hung up. I continued packing her things and she started sending texts saying, I miss you and we can work through this, I hope you miss me too. I only responded to the first one and said I was going out to the cinema for a late show and left my phone at my mom's house. Then, at about 6:30 in the morning, I am almost done with packing her things and my landlord calls me asking if everything is okay. She does not come home until about 8, so we agree he will come to the apartment a little before that and he will help me with the boxes and bags because he has a big car, and I will call her family and make sure she can stay there and have all her things with her. I call my boss and say I am still not feeling well and not coming to work. She calls me at around 7 in the morning and asks where I am because our neighbor, they are close friends, called her and said my car is home and I said I drove home tonight to surprise her. She sounds happy and asks if I can come to pick her up from work so she doesn't have to take the bus. I said I was tired from being up and driving all night. She says she understands and sends kisses and hangs up. My landlord shows up at 7:15, a bit early, and I have called her mom, but she has not answered the phone yet. I start getting a little panic about the time, but her mother calls me back 20 minutes later asking if everything is okay and if there is an emergency, because normally I never call and leave a message to call back as soon as possible. I tell her that we are going through some things and ask if I can bring over some boxes because we are breaking up. She is a little hesitant but says, well, I cannot refuse, I guess, and asks why her daughter has not called herself, and I start telling the story in short notes and I say that I am not the right man for her daughter. She laughs and says she agrees and has been telling her since we first met. I ask her not to call my ex because she will just be angry with everything and not be willing to come home. She says okay, and I was thinking she would ask why, so I was prepared to argue with her, but I did not have to. I said thanks and hung up. My landlord and I made coffee and sat down to wait, and she arrived a bit late. I meet her at the door and she asks why there is a big car parked outside the apartment, and I ask her to come in. I can see she is very in doubt and I ask her to come inside again. She comes and gives me a hug and keeps holding on to me as we go inside. She sees the boxes and starts opening them really fast, and then she starts punching me and crying, "You lied to me! Why are you doing this? How long have you been here without telling me? Liar!" I can only stop her from punching me by hugging her, and the landlord is trying to calm her down and is ready to call for the police, so she breaks down and starts crying in my arms. I tell her that I feel we cannot be together anymore because of this whole episode, and the fights we have had in the past have all been about the same thing, and it is not fair when we want different things out of a relationship. My landlord is mixing into the conversation and says he agrees if we do not want the same things, we do not match. I was a little bothered by it actually. It seemed weird and like we were both teaming up against her. We kind of were, but I wanted to not make her feel like that. She would only fight harder if she felt like that. I excused us and asked her to go with me to the bathroom so we could talk and to wipe her eyes from the crying. I hugged her in the bathroom and she cried a little more and said she loved me too much and that this was unfair and I was a coward for just making this decision by myself, and started punching me again, and I held her again and she stopped. I asked if it would be better if only she decided, and she said yes and started laughing a little and said sorry for hitting me. After just standing there and holding each other a while, she said she was actually thinking of breaking up with me just a few weeks ago. I asked why she didn't, but she had no answer. So I asked if she was falling in love with someone else, and she said no, and I was silly for thinking that. We stood around for a little more and I asked if she would do another pregnancy test just to be sure. She took a deep breath and said she had already taken a test and it was negative. I said again just to be sure and she said okay. I gave her the test and she looked at me like I was an alien. I said she said okay, so she should take the test now. She did and she hugged me while we waited for the test. It was negative, and she said again she was sorry for everything and not being the perfect girlfriend, and I was right for being mad at her. I started feeling sorry for her, I admit, but no, I could not fall into that feeling. I just said it was nothing we could change now and that we just were not the right person for each other. She asked if she could stay with me for the night because we were both tired and needed sleep, but I said I already talked with her mom and that we need some time from each other. It would just make it harder to realize that we do not match if we keep staying in the same place as before. She started crying again and sat down on the floor in the bathroom, and I picked her up and carried her out of the bathroom and put her down on the sofa. I made her and my landlord some sandwiches, and she called her mom and they started to argue on the phone, and she went back to the bathroom to talk on the phone. The landlord started to get tired of waiting and was not happy about having to wait for all of this. I started asking things about his car and he seemed to forget about the waiting a little bit. Finally, she came out of the bathroom and started packing her things and boxes, and was quiet the whole time. She found a few books and things that were hers and some clothes that I had not packed and asked if we were ready to go. We started packing the boxes in the car and she started crying again, went inside and sat on the sofa. I came in after her and asked her to sit in the car and find some music for us to listen to while we were driving, and gave her some sandwiches. We did not say much while driving, but she tried to say all this was stupid and weird and we should just go back and work it out, and that I was wasting so much of the landlord's time to drive with us for over 1 hour to her parents' house. When we got there, we did not say much either, just feeling very awkward and weird. I said thank you to the landlord for spending all the time and sorry for everything and having to wait. He said it was no problem and asked for the extra key that I had not thought about. I called him and said thank you to him later and sent him a gift card for a local restaurant as a thank you. And she gave him the key before he left. Her mom asked if I wanted to eat something before leaving, but I said no, and I said goodbye and walked outside. In my car I see she has left her card for work, so I was thinking, no, now I have to go inside again and it will be weird still. And then that this is what she wants, for me to come back, so I put it in the mailbox instead and went home. She texted me when I was almost home that she thinks she forgot her card in my car and asked if I could check for it, and she would come to pick it up before work tomorrow. I said I put it in the mailbox and she did not answer. I sent another text when I got home asking if she found it, but no answer to that either, so I went to bed and slept almost until morning. It has been a few days now and she still texts me sometimes saying she is missing me. I don't really know what to answer. I miss her too sometimes. I don't know, I think it's just part of her I miss sometimes, only the nice things. It is quiet to come home to an empty apartment. I don't really know what I should do with my time since it is not spending it with someone else. I feel weird, like between depressed and happy, and I don't know what to really feel. She texted me yesterday asking for my plans for the weekend, but I have not answered. I feel like she is thinking this was not a breakup and trying to make friends with me again. I don't know. Maybe not, and she is just being kind and asking casual things. Well, OP, the good thing is that it's over. If I were you, I would block her on everything and never talk to her again. And this thing that you're feeling between depressed and happy, maybe it's better that you talk to a therapist about it. In any case, all the best in the future, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, I know the thumbnail says one story video, and it was a pretty long and kinda hard to read story, so how about we finish the video with some petty revenge to change the mood? And this post is from user IBS means no pizza. T-shirts in the drawer. My dear husband can be quite anal retentive about his t-shirts. He doesn't like that they get creased in the drawers and he can't see the logos to choose what to wear. So he goes out and buys a t-shirt folder. You've probably seen it used by Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory, and expects me to use it. FYI, I do really think it's a good way of sorting tops. It's just that using the folder is another chore I'm expected to share. So I remove all his t-shirts from the drawer, folded them and put them back in. But I make sure every one of them is inside out so he can't tell which is which without taking them out and turning them right side out. He never said anything to me about it. I've done this 4 times now. This morning, he told me to leave his clean t-shirts on the bed and he'll put them away in the future. Mission accomplished. Ha! Well done, OP. Not so subtle but very effective. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.